Kia ora koto. Kia ora koto. It's Agility Matters Friday at 8 p.m. New Zealand time, which is about 6 o'clock-ish on Sydney time, and it's about 1 p.m. in Hong Kong. Love to hear from you guys and know who's here on the line. On the fence, on the line. Yeah, we'll go with that. So add your comments, add your questions. Today, we have Jakub. Jakub is from Auckland. He is an Agile superstar coach. He has not only got his own podcast going, he's got his own Agile course talking about Agile coaching. We'll get into all that. It's going to be pretty good fun. But he's also a local, which is what I like. Don't know why I've gone real British now, but yeah, let's get into this. So, Jakub, welcome.
Yeah.
How are you, mate?
Good. Cheers.
Your wines? Cheers. Yeah. So, for those who don't know, me and Jakub were like, let's have a chat. Let's have some fun. But we're going to do it over wine. Because wine, I'm assuming, is a coaching thing for increasing our creativity.
Yeah, it could be. You can do all of the sort of stuff with wine. So,
yeah. Imagine if our training was going to be like, okay, right, everyone open a bottle of wine and we'll go from there. That could be quite interesting. So tell us about yourself. You're in Auckland.
Yeah.
Born in Auckland or
No. You can hear from my
a foreigner like me.
Yeah, you can hear from my accent. I'm from Poland.
Cool.
We came here with my wife 6 years ago. Yeah.
Love it. So what brought you here? Coaching or a bit of lifestyle?
No. I guess many things, but we always bring back to two things. One, we just wanted to travel a bit and leave Poland for some time at least. London was too overcrowded with Polish people, so maybe we thought some other countries. And another thing was we met a Kiwi guy back in Poland. He had a Polish girlfriend and they were living in our city. We became friends. And then after some time, they moved to Napier, to his hometown.
Awesome.
So he was inviting us to come over and we decided, well, let's see if I can actually get a job here. And if I can, maybe we're just going to move here. So that's what we did.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
So I know you. We met at Agile on the Beach properly, and obviously I hear your name a lot. But what I didn't know about you, which I thought was quite interesting, because obviously I go through the LinkedIn profile, I kind of analyze it, see where you've gone, is you are actually a teacher.
Yeah.
So you're not like a developer turned coach. You're a developer turned teacher turned coach. Is that kind of it? How did that come about? What did that?
Yeah, it's some of these things that were happening in parallel. So I studied computer science. So I was a developer, and then after studies, on one hand, I started working for IBM in support, level 3 support. So basically fixing bugs in the products and so on. In particular, in open source projects, which was super cool. And then at the same time, I was doing my PhD in software engineering, specifically in how do we bring agility and automation in requirements analysis. So how can we actually make the requirements phase more lean and faster so that we can get to coding faster, basically. So while doing PhD, I was also teaching. That was part of my PhD study, I guess. I had to have 2 classes in an academic year, and that's what I was doing. Yeah.
Love it. No, it's good. It's good to hear. So I guess that drove you into, I guess, not only understanding where a developer's coming from, but also understanding where the behavioral science is. Is that what made you go, I need to show people how I coach, and hopefully they can sort of like learn from that and move forward with you? So what came first? The seeing the problem, or just wanting to get out there and show your style of coaching?
Depends what you're specifically asking. So what happened is that after working for IBM, which was a huge machine, and there was, I realized after 3-4 years that there was no way for me to grow there and to actually do anything with my career. I moved to a startup. And that was one of the best experiences of my life, because we had a mission, we had an idea for product, and we were given a lot of autonomy. We had a team of 5-6 developers, and we were super cross-functional. One day I would be coding for the whole day in new technology. Another day I would be on a street testing UX or prototypes with customers or potential customers. And next day I would be doing some testing. Another day I would be doing something in a database. So it was all super fun, learning a lot. And that was when I was kind of developer slash Scrum Master, because I was the one who was doing PhD in software engineering and I was doing the stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be the guy. And I liked it. I didn't mean it. And at the end of that, well, the startup, we had to pivot a couple of times. Eventually, it failed, basically, which was good learning on its own. But at the end of this, I did my Scrum Master certification, CSM, and Scrum Product Owner training as well. And that was where my ego showed up. And I thought I knew everything, right? I was the master of the universe.
Of course.
So after I left the startup, I joined a software house back in Poland, thinking that I'm going to be on top of the world. And I'm going to be an Agile coach for 7 teams now, and it's going to be beautiful. And, I knew everything. Easy, very easy. Yeah. After 2 months, 2-3 months, I realized, no, I hate it. And I was blaming everyone around me. And mostly the CEO, who, when I was thinking then, he didn't understand Agile, he didn't understand business, he didn't understand teams. The teams were didn't want to do good work. No one was caring about the customer. All of the thing, I was blaming everyone.
Yeah,
not me, of course. Like I was perfect one. I had my certification.
You got a CSM. You're fine.
Yeah, exactly. And from there, I went back to coding and being a team lead / tech lead. And after this, I moved to New Zealand. In New Zealand, that was also pretty funny, and I love telling this story because it showed my kind of evolution. This was when I had, in the company I was in, there was an Agile coach. And I remember when I heard that there was an Agile coach in this company, I basically projected all my failure as an Agile coach. I projected it onto him. And I could, I didn't trust him. I thought that he was selling bullshit and he wouldn't be able to help me or my teams, and that he wouldn't know anything. At that time, of course, I didn't know I was projecting my insecurities onto him. This realization came maybe 3-4 years later. So for about the year, I was avoiding him. I didn't want to even meet him. And then eventually my manager suggested, well, maybe you can talk to Colin. I said, all right, I'm going to talk to Colin. And I met Colin and I just loved it. He was such a cool dude. And we just started chatting, and I started getting value out of this. And I was realizing, well, maybe I'm not so good at certain things. Maybe I forgot certain things. Maybe I didn't really care about principles so much, caring more about tools. And with time, I started changing how I was behaving, how I was showing up. And I think what was more important, I started changing who I wanted to be. Not just what do I do, but who I wanted to be, what kind of person, what kind of a team lead I wanted to be. And after that experience, when both Colin and I left, because we left more or less at the same time, I had this need to try to become an Agile coach again.
Yep.
Because I felt like, well, I realized with Colin that the previous time when I was an Agile coach, I suck so much. I realized it was not their fault. It was all my fault. Like I was stupid, I was arrogant, my ego was over the roof, and I knew that now I could do it in a different way. And the funny thing was, when I was slowly now discovering now on my own without Colin, I was discovering Agile coaching and different dimensions of it. I realized that how Colin was subtle in certain things he was doing with me that I had no idea at that time he was doing it. Only when I was kind of learning more and more about Agile coaching, I realized how awesome he was and how much I learned just through osmosis from him. That's why it was probably easier for me to use some of the ideas, some of the theory, because I could feel it on my own.
Yeah. And it's funny because there is probably a whole bunch of people that can empathize with what you're going through right now. And we see it all the time. Coaches blaming every single person apart from themselves, but call themselves a coach, which is it's frustrating because you sort of look at them and you're like, can I recommend a book for you? Like, and you want to get your coaching hat on, but you realize they're in a different mindset.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about there is perfect. If you look at Tribal Leadership, for instance, the book Tribal Leadership, about how, my world sucks, they're amazing, they're the problem. Normally a level 3 manager's the problem, that kind of thing. And then when you realize how to win, so Colin was your, I guess, accelerator.
Yeah.
So are you looking to be that accelerator for other people? Because there are many, many coaches out there that have been thrown into this with a couple of days training.
Yes.
And which is what I love about your course, by the way. For those that don't know, Jakub's course is 9 weeks long.
Yes. Yep.
Which is amazing, by the way. I just want to say that's what you want to see. I can't stand 2-day courses for Scrum Master or Agile coaching. Like, if you want that, go read a book.
Exactly.
If you want to learn how to coach, you need to go through things slowly, absorb the information slowly. So is that what I guess triggered you?
That was, I think, the main thing. Yes. From my experience, as I said, the CSM was good, but it was also damaging, right? As I was telling you. And I think the whole idea behind certification and giving someone a certificate that they are now professional Scrum Master, I don't think it's fair to anyone after today's training. If we look about different kind of certification in different industries, it's much more serious. And it requires much more knowledge and understanding. And the role of a Scrum Master or coach is such nuanced that there's no way you can learn it in 2 days. So my idea was to provide support for people and some sort of guidance for longer term, and so that they can absorb information and go to work and think through it, try a couple of things, come back, have a one-on-one with me, let's have a chat about this. Then share it with the whole cohort, hear what they are saying. And this way you can slowly, through reflection, through learning new stuff, trying things out, you can understand how this is working for me, this is not working. Okay, if it's not working, why is it not working? Oh, I have someone now to talk about this, and I can try and figure it out. And is 9 weeks the best kind of period? Probably not, but I think it's a good starter.
Apologies, I just started coughing. No, and that's I used to make a joke, Jakub. I used to say, people would say to me, "Oh, Mike, have you got a Scrum Master course or a Agile Coach course?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's called Come Sit by My Side for 3 months."
Yeah.
I have trained. Well, this is sounding egotistical already, but I have trained some really good Scrum Masters over my time, and I've trained none of them in the classroom. And I've tried it. I've tried to do a couple of days here or a couple of days here, and then reflection and a session afterwards. It just hasn't worked. What I found out has worked is actually it was Aldo Roll, who was on last week, who really opened my eyes up to this, and it was a daily reflection with a coach.
Yeah.
And even though I was meant to be a coach, it was having that daily reflection with a coach that made me go, wow, I'm missing all this.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I'm so involved. I didn't know what's going on. So 9 weeks, I think is a good amount of time. I prefer longer, but I can understand there's a business economical reason for that as well. How are your students finding it? Is it getting good responses?
Yeah. so far they love it. I had 2 cohorts last year. Really good
Nice.
feedback. Or truly love it. With some amazing results. Like last year, I had one guy who was looking for a job himself when he was going through the cohort, and after the cohort, he was in another interview, and he said that through the learning about coaching much more, like coaching as a professional coaching skill, he in the interview he turned the table. Basically, he started asking questions, and the interviewer started going into details of the business and making realization what they need to change.
Yeah.
And he was hired on the spot because the interviewer said, well, we need person like you who's going to ask us these tough questions.
Totally. And it's funny, I remember, good example, NZ Post, me and Bram, who's now at Westpac, we were interviewing for coaches, and we found it so difficult. And I hear this all the time from other coaches around the world. And all we were after was ask us a question, and not like a question that's double-ended so you can talk about yourself. Ask us a question where you're going to trigger us to think about things.
Yeah.
Don't talk about coaching as if it's some sort of like, we're just going to do it. We're doing it to them. And I don't talk about this a lot, but I'll talk about it now. My first Scrum Master role was by accident. I was a business analyst, and they wanted a business analyst Scrum Master. And I thought, I could do that. What's this Agile thing? That's easy. That's easy enough, right? You just segment it, easy peasy.
Yeah.
I did my Scrum Master course online. It cost $19.90 at the time, and all it was a set of questions, and I got a certificate.
Nice.
I become a Scrum Master, and got $20 an hour more. It was great. And I remember thinking, this is gonna be easy. Just teach them Scrum. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
It's just not. For all those who watch this, if you want to be a Scrum Master or a coach, the best way is an apprenticeship. That really is the way, and you don't get that offer. So I recommend Jakub's course. I haven't been on it myself. I probably should actually just go on it just to check you out, come see you, and be like, yo,
come see me. Exactly. Yeah.
What's this nonsense you're talking about? But no, I think everyone needs to be learning constantly. So I think I'll check that out myself.
Yeah.
But we hired I think it was 6 Scrum Masters at one of the ministries that I'm at. And 4 of them were brand new to the role. And they're thrown in with only one team at least. Yeah. But they're thrown in with one team, and they're trying to scrum them. Is that? Yeah, all right, we'll go with that. Trying to like scrum them into Scrum. And I'm sitting there. I have one team as well, because it's all even, right? I have one team, I have 2 teams, I have 4 teams, I have 8 teams now. And they're all gone. And I feel bad because every single one of them came into it with an arrogance, with a chip on their shoulder that they knew it all because they had a certificate.
Yeah.
And it's just not that way. You need to listen. You need to pivot. None of my teams do Scrum. None of them want to do Scrum. I've got some comments coming in. Lots of questions, but wine in the morning from Tomans. I'm going to butcher your name, buddy. Sorry. Tomansky Kujawa? It's not the morning, buddy. This is 8 p.m. at night. It's morning for you.
Oh, maybe he's in Europe.
He could be. Good morning. Good morning, Tomansk. Edward W, I think I know is from Auckland, said, awesome guys, thanks, help. Help? Awesome help, thanks guys. Sorry. You got 2 glasses of wine in already.
So
guys, ask questions. Ask questions, guys, if you want any questions answered.
Please do.
Otherwise, I'll ask them all.
to your last point, I remember when I was a team lead and I was working with developers, and many developers, many people, and I'm the same. We have our desires, and we sometimes think that we just should get things from life or from the company. Things should just happen. And very often I would get a, let's say, intermediate developer who would say, well, Jakub, I want to be a senior. or junior who says, I need to be an intermediate now. And it's for some of them, it was hard to understand that it's not that you are promoted and then you become senior. It's the other way around. You first become a senior, you behave like a senior, you have the skills of a senior developer, and then promotion is just recognition of that, acknowledgement. Yes, you are a senior, and we acknowledge you should earn more, and you should be the senior now. And I think it's similar with Scrum Mastery. It's not that you get certification, now you're a Scrum Master. You should actually be a good Scrum Master, and then we certify you. Yes, you are a good Scrum Master.
I totally agree. And it's actually interesting you say that because, bring it back to us too, I find it really interesting when people start saying there'll be a senior Scrum Master. Jakub, what's a senior Scrum Master?
I have no idea.
Is it an Agile coach?
I have no idea. Well, that's a funny question, right? I was talking to someone yesterday, and I always struggle with this distinction between Scrum Master and Agile Coach. My ideas from others. So most of the stuff I'm talking about is probably stealing from others. Just a disclaimer. So I heard it one time, and it stuck with me, and I think I like it a lot. My description is that
everything is being stolen.
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
worry.
Yeah,
like we take influence from all these little things. We create our own little neural connection, and then we throw it out to the world and go, "This is ours." But you know, I understand I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here, so don't worry. Don't worry.
So how I like to describe it is that every Scrum Master is an Agile coach, but not every Agile coach is a Scrum Master. If it makes sense.
Yeah, I like that a lot actually, because I'll go back to you. So there's no hierarchy to me. There's no hierarchy. I hate the hierarchy idea as well because I was an enterprise coach and we had Amar on here at the start for Halloween special. So it was, that was a while ago, Halloween, and we chatted about that and we started talking about the whole. We started to feel as a superior almost because we were enterprise coaches. I get it, guys. A, you're on more money, so B, you're chatting to the C-suite, so you think you're on their level. You're doing the same job, but you're doing it slightly differently. But I would say, is a good Scrum Master, you're totally correct, is coaching.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're not taking situational leadership. But I would say there's more of a problem with coaches who can't Scrum Master.
Yeah.
And I do this little thing. I got a little diagram. It's like I evaluate a team, and I evaluate the ability for a agile leader, practitioner, to influence those teams. And what I'm finding, especially at the big banks, they've trained coaches, but you shove them into a role where they actually need to bring someone up from not knowing something to be able to facilitate the conversation, to be able to coach them through their journey. They can't do it.
Yeah.
They have not got that skill. They're trying to coach in a team that requires facilitation. And that I find very troubling. You find the same thing up there?
I do. And what's even more worrying for me is that if we have Scrum Masters or Agile coaches who never had a chance to work in a good team and in an Agile team, so they don't have the experience of what it feels to be struggling in a team, and then how to improve as a team, how to create these deep connection relationships. And then these people now go and coach others. I'm not saying it's not possible. I think it's very hard for these people to build empathy and to understand what is actually happening in these other people's brain, in my team, and how do they feel, and what's frustrating for them, and how being in a great team, how this humming, when it's humming, how does it feel? That's often the feeling I'm going back to when I'm coaching teams, and I'm just trying to see the potential in them, and I see, oh guys,
beautiful.
Just be with just stay a bit longer. Let's keep improving. I know, believe me, that's gonna be a beautiful feeling for all of us. You're gonna love when you get there.
You don't know me that well, Jakub, but what you'll find with me, people will probably find it really strange. But that word there, beautiful, that's a really good word, because that's something when a team is flowing, is just everything's working, beauty comes to mind. And I know it's wrong. I know always my fault. I know I've done something wrong if there's not cohesion, there's not flow, there's not beauty. So it's a really good word to think about. I like that. And I'm not a fluffy duffy coach. I can guarantee you that. But I find it definitely when you get a team, and it doesn't matter where they are in their journey. Like you could be teaching them and you're in flow. You could be facilitating their journey and you're in flow. You could be coaching them, super leadership, whatever you want to call it, situational to the team, but it's in flow. It's beautiful. And I love that. Yeah. Hey, we're starting to get questions through. So I'm going to start. What's the wine is one question from Andre. Well, Andre, tonight's episode is sponsored by tailor-made Shiraz by French Oak. It has a chocolatey, I'm not going to pretend to know wine, to be honest. It just says rich chocolate complete. It's a good wine. Came in a box. Makes me feel fancy. Cool. But real questions. Let's start with the first one we had on LinkedIn, which I thought was a doozy. So let's go with this one. And I'm not sure if this is a joke, but I like it.
Cool.
Isn't Agile coaching just one big Ponzi scheme? How might Agile coaches add value without evangelizing? Now, you'll see I love that comment, because I do. I love that comment. I think you could break it down a little bit, right? So is Agile coaching a Ponzi scheme?
It could be. And I can think about at least a couple of coaches I met in my life who were there because there was money, and they didn't really care about the teams or the organization or the outcomes. And as long as they were paid, they would keep staying there, even sacrificing the improvements, because if the team was not improving, they could prove that they are needed even more. I think this could be a Ponzi scheme. What do you think?
Mate, from an industry point of view, I think the whole thing's Ponzi. I do. I think it's literally, okay, give an example. A coach in Wellington right now, $160 an hour. Now, you could say, that's nothing. That's peanuts. I'm on $250. I hope you're delivering value. This company has no KPIs. It has no way of measuring success. And it's given them one team. They're hiring people for the sake of hiring people because, I'll give you an example. So in my thesis, we interviewed 23 organizations. Quick question, by the way, what's your wine?
Oh, it's from Uncle Winery in Nelson.
Oh, now I feel bad. I'm drinking Australian, you're drinking Kiwi.
Well,
damn it.
Yeah, it's a great blend of Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris.
It does look light. Is it light?
It's rosé, if that's what you mean.
It's a rosé.
Yeah.
Guys, you're drinking a rosé.
Yeah.
Shiraz all the way, boys. Come on, and girls. No, so hang on. Focus. So I get a little bit grumpy about that. So for me, it's all about outcomes. And this is why I love Way. Hey, Way, by the way. This is why I love your comment, which is what the title of this one was, moving from an agile coach to outcome coach.
Yeah.
If you're not providing outcomes, you can't measure what you're doing. So how are you actually going to say, I'm worth 160?
Yeah.
Oh, because the market determines that. No, because it becomes a Ponzi scheme where one person's bringing another person in and they bring in somebody else in and they all validate each other and they all shake hands. And then you get people like me and you, Jakub, who come in and go, what have you done? You know, and have you noticed on LinkedIn that they all seem to like, yay each other? I don't think we do. The reason why I think you're very similar to me is because I get some comments made about me, and you get some comments made about you, people say it to me, and I'm like, and so why would you say that about Jakub? Oh, he's challenging, he's this, he's that. I'm like, is he challenging your bias on a particular thing? Don't say that, Michael. That's nothing to do with this. It's basically to do with Jakub. And I'm like, is this what we were talking about earlier on, where we're saying that people blame others for their, I'm going to say it, for their incompetence. Yeah. And that's why David, and David's actually on the call, on the line as well. He says, not totally a joke. And I don't think it's a joke. I love it. It's a good question. And that's why leaders, when I train leaders in agility, they don't like us very much. And
Yeah.
I don't blame them. Because they get these people coming in, they're very expensive. I heard the other day of a set of coaches, 4 of them from one company, $250 per hour, 3 months, delivered nothing. And you could say, oh, yeah, but BAs do that, devs do that. Yeah, but we're meant to be the ones who are forward thinking, the ones who are bringing the new ways of working, the new paradigm shift. Don't call yourself a coach if you're not going to push the basket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any more comments on that, or should we go to the next question?
What was the second part? Evangelizing. I don't think we I try not to evangelize.
What can we do without evangelizing? That's the bit I like. Is if we stopped self-promoting ourselves and stick to case studies. Would that work? I'm kind of answering the question there. Sorry, David. But for me, it would be actually case studies. Like, so I'm finishing up a case study at the moment. We've increased productivity by 74%. Employee satisfaction, engagement up by 63%. Time to market's decreased by 82%. We've got, what else have we done? Predictability measures went from 40% to 92%. Like, you know, if I had a mic, I'd drop the mic. It's been a brilliant case study. It's only 60 people, I agree. But it's results.
Yeah.
Results that they asked for and results they didn't ask for that I provided because I know where they're going in their organizational journey. So is that it? Should we all move to case studies? Should we all move to real outcomes? What do you think?
I think so. And when I talk with teams or leaders, or when I'm interviewed for a job, I usually use stories. So and in my CV, you will see specific numbers saying, well, this team improved by this, and so on and so on. But I was thinking of a different way to answer this question. I think that Agile coaches, maybe some of them evangelize, and maybe that's good. Well, if that's what they do, maybe they're good at this. I see a role of an Agile coach in a different way. When I think about coaching as such, and we know the Lisa Atkins Agile coaching competency framework, that there are 4 main competencies: mentoring, teaching, facilitation, and coaching.
Yeah. So I call those situational, as based on situational leadership.
Exactly. Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
But because we are called coaches, I like to focus on the coaching part. It's not the only thing we do or we should do, but I like focus on this. And when I think about coaching and when I simplify it, I think that there are 2 main parts as a coach, what we should do. First of all, we should
go for it.
We should increase awareness increase awareness of the coachee or team or organization, and then generate responsibility for making improvements. Right? So they should become more aware through transparency, through metrics, through asking them questions. So why are we actually doing it? What is stopping us?
Yeah.
Why do we have this role here in HR? How is it helping us achieve what we want to achieve? And making them aware that some of this stuff is bullshit, what they have. And then generating responsibility for making changes, so that it's their idea that they need to make change. It's coming from them. Because as soon as I tell them you should do X, it's me telling them what they should do. It's not coming from them. So how can they follow up? How can they follow through? How can they, it's not their action, it's my action.
Yeah. So awareness and responsibility.
Yeah. I think that goes down to these 2 things. And recently I realized that actually it's exactly what we do in Agile. It is inspect and adapt. It's inspect, so build awareness, adapt, take responsibility for actions for improvement.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I think that's what we should do as coaches, and that's how you can be a successful coach. Build awareness, generate responsibility. There are different ways to do it. You can do it through teaching, mentoring, facilitation, coaching. But I think that's especially the coaching part comes here.
There's totally different ways of doing it. So, question then. Jakub, in your opinion, should a Scrum Master be 100% dedicated to the role, or can they share to be a dev or an ass?
That's an interesting question, Tomasz. Thank you.
He's from Poland, by the way. That's why he said it was the morning.
Oh, he must be a great guy.
Yes. So say good morning. Say good morning in Polish for us.
Dzień dobry, Tomasz.
There we go.
Dzień dobry. Well, I was, when I was at a startup, I was both a dev and a scrum master, and it worked pretty well. I think that as with everything, there are trade-offs and risks. And as soon as we are aware of them and we make conscious decisions and we know what to watch out for, I think it could work. But we know that there's going to be compromises we going to be doing. There's going to be times if we are a dev and a scrum master at the same time, we're going to be biased. So is there a system that we can put around us that can help us deal with this?
Yeah.
If there is, if I can have, if I go facilitate something as a scrum master / dev, and I know I have strong opinion about something, it's going to be hard for me to stay neutral. I can either ask someone else to come with me. I can ask another dev, hey, could you watch out for this? I know I'm going to be taking a side here. If I do, please call it out.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? And before I help answer this question, from my point of view as well, I'll just quickly say, I hate it when I actually understand what's going on. I do. I've got a very entrepreneurial mind. I love taking control. I can't help myself. And if I get it, I'm a terrible coach because I have a lot of startup clients. Yep. And when I work with startup clients, if I get what they're trying to do, suddenly I'm driving it. I'm not coaching them, I'm driving them. So that's one thing to watch out for, guys, is you could get into that routine. So I'm an ex-BA, you're an ex-dev. So from an ex-BA point of view, I think we make terrible coaches. I really do. Because we are used to facilitating the line between misunderstandings. Yeah. So we tend to take that role more domineering. So there's that. What we've just done in our current case study is we made there's not enough, so 8 teams, 8 squads, 60 people. We had 6 coaches and now we have me. So we're now training some internal capabilities. And what we're doing now is moving into a model where people are stepping up and learning the facilitation skills and some of the coaching skills while doing another role. But what we did was we put them in a different team. So you are facilitating team A and coaching team A, and you're working in team B. Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah.
It's a hypothesis. It's kind of working at the moment. We're kind of enjoying it. It's getting much better results than being the Scrum Master and the dev in the team. Another one was a short, what do they call it? Like a Spark, and there's a small little company. It was Mopork at the time. They had a hat, so you'd wear a Scrum Master hat, but you didn't do any dev work for that sprint. So what it was who knows the most about his product at the time, became the product owner, who knows the most about facilitating this conversation, therefore they become a Scrum Master. So that was quite interesting because it was the same 6 people in a team. One became product owner, one became coach, and that worked quite well. But again, very mature teams, very, very different. So there's not one way of doing things. I guess what we're trying to say, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And as you said, you just try it out and you see if it's going to work. And it's going to work in one team, one company. It may not work in another.
Exactly, right? So this is where I'd say, so for me, coaching, measurements. If you're not measuring success, go home. Like, come see Jakub and his course. Measure for success.
So that's the awareness part that I'm talking about.
Yeah. How can you, and this is what bugs me about Scrum, so I'm not a Scrum fan, but how can you implement Scrum in a team or help them implement Scrum as a team and not measure what happened before and after? How do you expect to adapt if you never inspected it in the first place? So I find that a little bit strange. We're starting to get a lot of questions through, so we'll start rocking through them. Is it all about creating trust first? What do you think is the best way to create the trust? That's 2 questions, Edwin. 2 questions. Jeez, greedy. So is it all about trust? Go on, Jakub.
Well, it depends.
Such a consultant answer.
We said we had to say it, right? I was just
Yeah.
tempted. I said, no, we need to at least say it once.
Yeah, and it does depend. Like, where are they in their journey, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I would say they should always trust you, but
yeah. Trust me and trust others, and yes, but does it mean if there is no trust, I shouldn't put metrics in? Well, actually, the metrics and measurement could be one way for them so that they can build the trust.
yeah.
Or the metrics can actually show them that we don't trust each other. We shouldn't.
I've had teams, and I used to believe this, right? So Edwin, I was with you, buddy, right? I still believe one thing. So my caveat to this is, if the team doesn't want me, I go home. Simple as that. Simple as that. However, if they want me but don't trust me or think I'm full of, I can't swear on YouTube, hang on, full of stuff, then what I will do is go, right, I'll measure. If I'm increasing their customer value and their employee value, then I'll carry on. I've had teams that have absolutely hated me. I've had one of my squads only recently recommend a 360 for Agile coaches. You know why they're recommending that? It's because they want to complain about me. That's totally fine. Look at your results. Reflecting your results. So what I've done, I'll put somebody else in there for now, but it's another story. What do you think is the best way of creating trust, though? I mean, assuming it's important. Assume you need trust now, Jakub.
Well, I think I don't want to be misunderstood. I think trust is important.
It's very important, yeah.
Right. So I don't want anyone to think that we are discouraging creating trusting environment. And I think it's one of the first things you need to look at, but I don't necessarily think it's the first thing you always need to look at. And the second part of the question assumes that there's the best way to do it. And again, it depends. There's no one best way to do it. As always, there are different reasons why people don't trust each other. Man. If we don't understand why people don't trust each other, how can we help them? We can't.
See, you got into a different... I hadn't thought about that. Good point. Are we talking about... And Edwin, quickly on the comments, right, buddy? Did you mean trust between coach and team, or trust within a team? That's a slightly different conversation, actually, because if there's no trust in a team, that's a very bad problem. So I'll wait the answer there for Edwin. Trust in a team, that's a bad thing. How do we build that? Empathy for me. Big thing on empathy. Especially if you have a whole bunch of stage 2 people. Edwin meant coach and team, so we'll get back to that. But it's actually same solution for me. All about empathy. So if I have a whole bunch of people in a team that don't trust me, I will find some common denominator. I will find a common person who, I call them the chief influential officer, who influences the team. I will find their problem to solve, their value. If I can find their value, domino effect. What about you?
Good work. I usually start with some sort of coaching contract and coaching alliance. What I mean by this is almost like working agreement between me and the team and the leaders. So that's how are we going to work? What is important for us? And then coaching alliance, what's our focus?
That's a really good point. Sorry to interrupt you, because I don't do that enough. I don't do that enough. What I do a social contract between the team. I touch on what they expect from me. I don't do something specific. Can you expand on that? Why do something specific between you and the team? Is that about trust? Is that about collaboration?
It is, yeah. So that they know what to expect from me, and then I can also set my expectations. One way how I would do it was, with different teams, I try different things. One way to do it is that I would, when I was a Scrum Master with one of the teams at one of the ministry here in Auckland, I would write down on Post-its different responsibilities of Scrum Masters. The one that I truly believed that was true and that I was there to do. And some of the myths, some of the things I thought that they might think that I would do, but I didn't believe in it. And I put it one item on one Post-it, put it on a wall, and I asked them as a team to sort it into yes, this is what a Scrum Master should do. No, this is not not what a Scrum Master should do. And then with question mark, we're not sure about this.
Did they say that you do all the admin on Jira?
No, they said I don't. There was that I'm a scribe or I'm a secretary, and they said no, which was already a
Good.
sign.
Good.
Yeah.
Very overpaid admin person.
Yeah. But there were a couple out of this exercise. There were a couple, and I don't remember the details now, but there were a couple of things that we didn't agree on, and that was our way to have a conversation about this. And I remember with this one team specifically, I agreed that I would do what they were expecting of me. I said, okay, I'm gonna do it for 1 month, and let's see if it's helping us or not, and then let's go back to this conversation.
I love that, because that's one of the things I recommend. I call it coach the change. So I show them value first. I ask permission, and people always ask me, what happens if they say no? It happens, right? If you ask for permission, they have the right to say no.
Yeah.
You say to them quite clearly, I totally agree with you, right? Let's measure it for 2, 4, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And if you're still experiencing a problem with your solution, can we come up with a new solution? So I'll differ here a little bit. I won't never say my solution, because if it comes mine and yours, you've got polarity, right?
Yeah.
I'll always say, can we come up with a solution together? No, this is the right way. Sweet. You know what? Let's try it your way for 4 weeks. And at the end of 4 weeks, if you don't resolve this problem, can we think of a new solution together that may help you?
Yeah.
I've never met a team that said no, because they're so adamant that they're right.
Yeah. And I may be wrong.
Oh, totally.
Please, I may be wrong. What if I'm wrong and they are right? Oh my God.
How many times, and this is what I love, right, as coaches, we're like this pinnacle of amazingness, right? We're never wrong. No, we're wrong quite a bit.
Yeah.
We implement this thing and then it just goes pear-shaped and it's like, oh, sugar. Won't do that again. Right. No, but, and do you know what's funny? And that's one thing I would say, and Jakub, I hope you agree. We need to focus on being humble that they are the experts and we're just a bunch of noobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Wow, there's actually a lot of chat going on. I love it. I love it. This is we've pushed them out of their comfort zone today. It's brilliant. Done that one. David said, not totally a joke. Totally agree, David. Great question. Paul Salmon, what's Jakub's wine? Did that already. So I've been trying to go through them slowly, trying to capture them in. Here's a nice one from Gareth, and Gareth was on last week as well, which is it's good to see. Welcome back, Gareth. How do I do this? Oh no, it's broken. I've broken it, Gareth. I'm so sorry. One moment, Gareth. Wait, I'll bring your question up, Gareth. Here it is. All right, so Gareth has said, how about the power gradient between the Scrum Masters and how about the power gradient between Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, and Enterprise coaches? How might we flatten that curve? So I guess he's coming back to that point, right? Of we feel like there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And
it goes back
hard.
to, for me, I don't have probably an answer, so I will just share my stream of consciousness.
We'll unwind it.
The thing that came to my mind is status, and how we like status, and in different situations we expect or we desire different kind of status.
Yeah.
And the next thing that came to my mind was improv, and I used to. Well, I still do, not so much these days, but I used to use improv a lot with my teams. And one of the principles behind improv is that you don't care. On one hand, you don't care about status because anyone can be anyone or anything at any stage. But at the same time, if someone creates a status on a stage, you agree with the status, right? So if someone say that they are a policeman in this scene, well, they are a policeman, all right, and I'm gonna be, I don't know,
Respectful.
a thief, right? And I kind of need to respect their status of a policeman. So improv teaches you how to deal with status, and how often I also find as coaches we actually should lower our status so that we
Yeah.
can create a space for other people so that they can take responsibility. Going back to this, while
That's the
often,
first thing. The
Yeah.
first thing I do, Jacob, when I go into an organization, I go to a team, I turn around and say, you are the geniuses. I'm a nobody. Teach me.
Yeah.
And suddenly, so I was actually interesting because I had an interview. I was Aldo Roll. Hey, Aldo, if you're on the call. He was actually interviewing me as part of a retro. And in one of his comments, it stuck in my mind. I didn't even think about it. This is how it's become so intuitive. When I entered the retro, I sat down at the table. Why? Because I'm not that important. I'm not going to stand up and be like, I'm the retro guy. You know, I'm just a nobody. I'm just here to facilitate. I'm going to observe and try and find ways to help you. But I'm one of you guys. You know, I'm nothing special.
Yeah.
And he picked up on that, and that's what it really made me realize that how far I've come as a coach is even the simple subconscious thing of just sitting down at their level, just stabilizes the power flow a little bit, which is quite nice because you guys got to watch that. If anyone, actually, I'm thinking most people on this call actually are coaches. So you got to watch that, guys, because if you start standing up and putting your Superman cape on or sending LinkedIn messages with a Superman outfit, you're setting this bar that you are Superman.
Yeah.
You know, and what about the ladies? I'm just saying. It's weird. We're nobodies.
Yeah.
They're the ones delivering value. We're just enablers of value. We will not be here in 5 years' time. So that I find it very interesting.
And I think it takes a lot of self-awareness, and I totally agree. You know, when I go into a room with a team, I make sure I never sit at the top of a table looking at the door, because that's the sign that I'm thinking I'm in charge here. And I never dress better than the team because I don't want them to think that I feel that I'm better.
Yeah. We're not. Let's be fair.
Yeah. And when we are in
we gotta make sure we don't wear jeans.
Yeah. When we are in remote settings, there is a difference also how we show up. So I can show up in a session like this. And showing I'm important. You should look at me and hear me. Or when I want them to take space, I'm just like, okay. And I take a step back when I say I'm asking question and I'm intentionally taking a step back.
Yeah, and totally. I mean, guys. Jakub's obviously got his webcam on, right? It's a webcam, right?
Yeah.
So he can't help himself. But can you guys see how the webcam is looking up at Jakub? And he knows this.
Yeah.
It's not on purpose. It's just webcams. How webcams all are, right? See how my camera is eye level.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jakub looks like a more of authority figure. I am one of you.
Very true.
And the reason why we do this here at Agility Matters, we do it on purpose because we are one with you. We're drinking wine with you. We're having fun with you. But watch this when you're in a meeting. If you're tall, try to bring yourself down slightly because there is a subconscious bias to people who are taller, looking down upon people. You'll find a much better flow of conversation if you're not trying to sit at the head of the table or and you'll find managers do it a lot. Managers sit at the head of the table for weird reasons. Exactly, and it's like they're trying to like find somewhere to sit, but it's like I'd rather get cozy next to somebody in the middle than sit at the front.
Yeah. And that's a different tip to how to observe a team, go into a room and see where everyone sits.
Yeah.
That's one of the way how we can, the first impression doesn't mean it's the correct impression, but it can give you first insights. I don't think we answered Garrett's questions.
No, I definitely did. I think we talked about how we need to make sure that we're not perceiving ourselves as greater. Can we stop the industry? No, Gareth, we just can't. The industry's going that way. Enterprise coaches would pay more. Scrum Masters will be paid less. There's not much we can do about that. What we need to do, I think, personally, is don't fuel the fire. Don't feel like you're better than someone because you're an Agile coach as opposed to a Scrum Master. And don't look to upgrade yourself. That I find fascinating. And Edwin had a really good comment here a little while up. We did cover it, but we'll quickly go back to it actually. Is there really a difference between an Agile coach and a senior Agile coach? And what do you think needs to be done to make senior? And we kind of touched on what does it make to be senior? There's no such thing. But is there a difference? Like, would you, if you were hiring a senior Agile coach, would you look for different skill sets?
No, maybe, and I'm not sure. Maybe looking at years of experience. So some, how similar how in the developer, one of the reasons how you say someone who's been in a company and he actually or she knows the stuff. Maybe, but I don't really know.
It's a hard one, eh?
Yeah,
we have to, because obviously we've got all the government contracts, right? So at surge.coach, quick little pun there, a pitch for ourselves. But we kind of have to, right? Because there's things called level 5, level 4, level 3.
Yeah.
And we have to follow the lines to get work. So level 5 is an enterprise coach, level 4 is an Agile coach, level 3 is an Agile facilitator. We have to play the ball. But ironically, and I said this to clients, it could be the same person.
Yeah.
They just take a different hat and put their facilitator hat on, and they do the same role. I mean,
I was once when I was still consulting, I was at one client, and I was like within 3 weeks, I was from Agile coach to Scrum Master to Agile coach again, because there was, if you are a coach, they can treat you as OPEX, and if you're a Scrum Master, you can be CapEx and all of this stuff. I was like, call me whatever you want. I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't care. I was a Scrum Master, so when I started this engagement with a client ministry, I was called a Scrum Master. I don't care. I'm now an Agile coach. I don't care. They're now thinking of me going towards that almost enterprise level. I don't care. I just put a different hat on.
Yep.
Can I charge you more? Probably, but hey.
There's one comment I wanted to make with what you were saying, Michael. That I think it's also dangerous to keep saying that we are nobody. And I know that you don't mean it probably literally, but some people can take it that way. Yeah. So I just want to call it out that it's not that we are nobody. We still bring the experience and the focus and all the questions and all of this stuff. So it's not about that we are nobody, but we are. We are. We should make sure that we match the status. I guess we usually lower our status because people see us. Unfortunately,
I'm just going to unpack it.
I don't know.
I'm going to unpack it a little bit. And Jakub, are you happy to continue for a little bit?
Yeah, keep going.
All right, guys, we're going to keep going anyway, because there's a lot of questions. I want to get through them all because this is fun. We're definitely introducing wine to every session from now on. And sorry, Nick, we're not doing your question just yet. You are next, though. We're not the value creators. That's what I mean. We're not the value creators.
At least not direct.
Correct. We are an enabler to value to be created. The same way leaders are nobodies. They don't create value. They are helping value to be created. They're part of the value chain. Totally agree. I'm not saying we're not needed, but I'm saying sometimes we put ourselves on this perch of we are the king bee, and I like to bring myself down by saying, Michael, remember, you're a nobody. They are the value creators. You're the person coming in here who is going to ask the right questions, and hopefully they can create more value. Yeah. Which I don't really care about the organization. I care about the customers and the employees. Customer value, employee value. And to I think it was David's point, value, not dollar. Like money's easy to make. You want to make money, go buy an Auckland property, right? For those outside of Auckland, it's going up by 24% a year. If you want to provide value and provide meaning in your life, one of my goals in life is actually to lower suicides. It's one of my big passions in life. And I think I can do that through transform organizations. If I can transform organizations, I provide more meaning in people's life, more purpose. You go home happy. You don't beat your wife. You don't beat your husband. You enjoy yourself and you don't commit suicide. And I'm not a psychologist. So I'm not trying to say that this will definitely work. I'm saying that this is my one little nugget into the pool of nuggets. If everyone did that, we would have happier people. So that's my thing there. Nick, back in my country. Nick, what country is that? Coaches used to contract time and materials and team and company success. Ooh, so they had money for like the time and materials, cool, plus the outcome. That's kind of cool. Which they helped to achieve. It was nice helping building long-term relationships and trust. Is this a thing here? So I'm assuming Nick's come to New Zealand. So Nick, quickly, what country were you from? He's not quick. So when he replies, I'll tell you. But like, yeah, I've heard about this and I love it. At Surge, we do this. We struggle. What about you, Jakub? Do you try?
Well, I'm not consulting anymore. But
where are you now?
I'm at permanent at Freedom. So
I'm permanent Freedom. I like Freedom. Freedom's cool, man.
It is cool. I know.
Yeah. Gareth was at Freedom.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Gareth.
I know.
I love it. We're all family. We all know each other. So don't talk bad about the ex-coach at Freedom because that's going to turn out to be ugly. No, cool, man. But yes, okay. When you're hiring, would you look at outcome-based pay?
Yeah.
Good.
But I think that one thing to remember if you do this, I would make sure, again, going back to the coaching contract story, you also need to make sure that you have whatever support you think you need, or you have access to whatever people you need to have access to. Because if you promise something and then there's a system around teams, right? And bad system beats every good person.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So you need to make sure that you put some assumptions in there, and then you can keep whoever signed the contract with you, you can keep them accountable for making sure that some things happen.
Yeah,
and then
I
at
agree.
the same time, as you see that they don't happen or that you're not achieving your outcomes, you are just transparent saying, well, it's not working.
Yeah,
and maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I assumed that. Maybe we assumed that actually this is happening. We're not gonna do it unless blah, or we're not gonna do it. Period. Or I cannot do it. I don't think I can do it.
So we try. We come up with here's a proposal. There's a proposal. Search proposal. 90 days. If we don't achieve our outcomes, we don't get paid, and we're happy with that. Our clients are not. It's kind of weird. They want to pay us still, like it's some weird minimum wage thing.
Yeah.
All right, fine. So we train our staff to be very outcome focused, and we pay them a bonus based upon outcomes.
Right.
One of our KPIs at Surge is the quicker you can pull yourself out of a client, the more you get paid.
Okay.
Because that's the whole point, right? The sooner I can get you in freedom to achieve your goals without me, brilliant.
Well, I think that's true, especially when you are a consultant, right? But I think when you are a permanent coach, there is still, there's always place for improvement. There's always
Nick's from Russia, by the way.
Oh, nice. My Polish neighbor. Good. Hi, Nick. So I think there's always.
I'm loving Russia. Have you spoken to a lot of Russians? There's tons of Russians, and they all talk finance, agile. Like the whole beyond budget, the beyond accounting, beyond budgeting, all come from Russia. It's a really interesting place to look for actually when you talk about agile. Sorry, interrupting you.
No. I used to learn Russian in my primary school. So yeah.
Okay, say good morning in Russian.
Wait. I know how it's goodbye. It's do svidania. Wait, good morning.
Everyone knows this Vidania.
Здравствуйте. I think it's Здравствуйте.
Justfutia.
Justfutia.
All right, Justfutia, Nick. He's probably shaking his head like, oh my god. Sorry. All right. Look, Amar, are you there? Amar's always there, or assume he's here. So true. Oh, sorry. Nick said so true. Systems versus persons. Yeah, no, I totally agree. We've had some really good feedback, by the way. Jakub, when you get time, go through these comments. There's some awesome comments here. Amar said, and he's already asked me actually, cheeky Amar. He's already asked me this question. Hi guys, I would like to hear your thoughts about the new Agile coaching ethics. Should we all sign it? Have you, I guess, he just replied, hey Amar. Have you seen the new Agile ethics from Agile Alliance?
Yep, I have seen it, and I have.
What do you think?
I have very quick look at it, and I saw the main document, and I had a look at the scenarios that they provide as well. I liked it, but it was just very brief reading, so I probably like it a lot, but I don't feel like I can say I love it or I hate it. Right now I
have some comments. I'm going to find my comments to Amar because
I feel that if I read more in depth, I would have questions or even they say it is a draft still, and it's not easy to create a document like this in a community that is so strongly opinionated. I think that we need it, and Amar and I, we did try. Amar was driving it for sure. We did try, and
was he? That's why he loves it so much.
Yeah. And that was in 2019, Agile on the Beach. That's where I met Amar, and he was very passionate about the topic. So two of us got together and we started thinking, how can we have a conversation in our community about this? So we had 2 or 3 meetups about this. We didn't get to any conclusions. I don't recall, at least. But I think that's one thing that we need. So when I talk about coaching contracts, it's part, I think coaching ethics could help a lot with this, to set expectations. So if it's almost like, if you come to me, this is given. And if you talk to another coach, these are the things that are given. These are the things that you should expect. Like if I go to a doctor, these are the things I expect.
Yeah.
If I deal with a policeman, I probably should expect certain things. And these are the ethics of the role. Outside of the role, they might be a totally different person. But when I'm meeting a doctor as a doctor, I expect them to have specific ethics and follow it.
No, and I totally agree. So I will say it. So I was invited by Nicole down in Wellington to the Wellington version of this. And I'd never been invited back. And you may know then who I am now, because I was the guy who disrupted it. But all I was trying to do was say, hey, if we're going to do something, let's actually create a list of actual ethical coaches and only recommend those people. That's all I was trying to get to. Wellington people. That's all I was trying to do. But what you guys have come up with then, I like it. I do. A lot of it's kind of like, wishy-washy stuff that we all should do anyway. So maybe it's the social contract. So I'll stick to the critique. Conflict of interest. Number 7, sorry. I will withdraw from the relationship if a conflict cannot be adequately managed. We just spoke about this, didn't we? Just because a team doesn't trust us or we can't manage a conflict does not mean that we shouldn't keep coaching. Which goes into complete, conflict. Conflict with the other ones, where as long as you're creating value, which is number 12, I believe. No, number 13. So if you can't manage a conflict, does not mean you should stop working, because sometimes conflict's a good thing. Do you agree?
Yeah, conflict is very often a good thing. That's what often pushes us forward, right? I prefer good conflict rather than artificial harmony every time. Every time. I guess I don't remember the statement exactly from the document. I wonder what kind of conflict do they have in mind? Is it conflict of interests? That, let's say I'm a coach, external coach, and then there might be a conflict when I'm coaching you as an organization. But for example, because in the consulting company, I'm being said something different, or I'm being asked to do something different, for example, this could be a conflict of interest of some sort,
Good point.
right? And if that's the case, I would say that it's even my personal ethics that would kick in. I will feel very uneasy about this. So if that's the case, probably I agree. But if there's a conflict, if they mean like a social conflict or an argument about a technical decision, or I don't know, how do we deal with stuff at the team level, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah, so maybe it needs fleshing out a little bit. I read it as you can't resolve conflict, which I get where they're coming from.
Yeah,
I do. I just won't agree. So I won't sign it for that reason. There's another one I just want to raise.
Yeah.
So this is good, guys. For those who haven't actually read this yet, have a good read, because it's definitely a good start. I also said, what did I say to Amar? So we chat on this cohort group. So it's quite a lot to go through. So I said, can't agree with 7 or 10, but 11 and 12 are great. So what was 11 and 12 and what was 10? Well, he asked me for feedback. That's what happens. Number 10 is, I will ensure that the relationship remains valuable and I won't extend it unnecessarily. Because sometimes, as long as they still want you there, you want to continue. Change is hard. Change can cause really good things. So I don't want to stop an engagement with a client just because of that one. So I'm not a big fan of that one. But I do like 11 and 12, and I'll read you 11 and 12. 11 and 12 are, I will be honest about any perception of declining value. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm just going to bring up something, by the way, on the screen.
I think that's what we were talking about. If you have the outcomes in mind, and it's not, you can start seeing that you are not going to achieve these outcomes. You're just honest about this.
Just be honest, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I think the Agile coaching community, I should put myself in focus, the Agile community, you guys need to be honest. You need to measure and hold yourself accountable. Otherwise, what's the point? And this is what I find really frustrating. So again, just back to this point here, Jakub, exactly here, look, artificial harmony, 5 dysfunctions of a team.
Yeah.
You don't want to create an area of no conflict. I totally agree. But yeah, if you're declining your value, focus on outcomes. If you're getting no results, then confront the difficult issues.
Yeah. Which
means being honest. Be honest that you're getting no results.
Yeah.
I love that. To be honest, Amar, this document actually could be a whole nother session. Overall, I will not be signing it. Not because I'm trying to be awkward, because I believe in contracts. So therefore, if I sign a contract, Amar, I 100% will agree to that. Not I will slightly agree with something. So therefore, 7 and 10 need to be removed. I'll agree to the rest. My opinion means nothing. If you guys want to sign it, go ahead. Jakub, you going to sign it?
If I read deeply into it and I agree with all of the points, I may.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Oh, on measurements, Tomask. Am I saying your name right, Tomask? Probably not.
I'm pretty sure it's Tomasz.
Tomaszk. Like with an S. All right, let's bring him up. He has said, measurements. Do you use your own tooling for this up front when you start, or have some generic spreadsheet for it? Ooh, let you go first. Go on. What do you do? How do you measure success?
Well, going back to depending what we're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So what are the outcomes? I love the work of Mike Barrows from the UK and his agenda shift. And he has this beautiful exercise called 15 minutes photo standing from obstacles to outcomes. And he uses clean language, which is a coaching tool. He uses clean language to get teams and leaders to very quickly go from talking about obstacles to what outcomes you want to achieve. And the questions are very simple. So let's say that the team says, what can they be saying? That we cannot talk to we don't have access to a customer. That's our obstacle. Okay. If you have access to customers, then what happens? Well, then we could build better products. Okay. And if you build better products, then what happens? Then X happens. Okay. When X happens, then what happens? And he gets, it's a different way to ask why basically.
Yeah.
And he gets a series of different questions coming from clean language framework. And it just allows you to get to the outcomes that the business or the team wants to achieve. And based on the outcomes, next question is, okay, so how do you know that is actually happening? How do you know that we achieve these outcomes? What would be some of the lagging indicators? How do we know after some time that we are achieving it? And how would be some leading indicators that would tell us we are on the right path?
You're happy with lagging indicators?
And leading indicators.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just bring myself back in. Hello, guys. Oh, not just me, crikey. Is that working? There we go.
Do you have anything against them? Because I don't know.
No. It was part of the IC Agile. I guess set outcomes was to talk about lead and lag indicators. So it's in my course. Obviously, we're IC Agile qualifiers, therefore we must toe the line. But as Shane will tell you in Wellington, Shane's one of the directors of IC Agile. For those who don't know, great guy, but he knows that I'll always push the button on whether or not things are right or wrong. So it's in the course, but I always say, nothing wrong with lag indicators. Profit's a good thing to look at. But always keep your lead indicators as well. So I totally agree with you.
But I don't think that lagging indicators needs to be money, right?
Oh, of course not.
It depends
it's one of them, right? True bottom line.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to put a lot of work to actually see the outcomes you want to achieve. That's why probably sometimes they are lagging indicators. But you need the leading indicators so that you know that you, at least with all of your assumptions, you know that you are going into the right direction.
Yeah. I totally agree. What was I going to say next? I'm going to give my view to Tomask, and I'm also trying to find something while I was doing it, so I can't find it, Tomask. I'll send it to you, buddy. So flick me a LinkedIn message, and I'll send this to you. So I did my thesis on customer value, and when I was researching customer and employee value, that's where my focus goes. So we created customer value as 4 components, right? The components are sales price, can't forget money, functional value, functional benefit, customer satisfaction, and brand loyalty. So when we break down what is customer value, we break it into 4 things. We then created 3 KPIs per thing. So again, objective, create a more customer value. Outcome, increase brand loyalty. Outputs, increase these KPIs. So brand loyalty, for instance, is how many times a customer may buy from you on average, which of course reduces your cost of advertisement and so on. So we have a bunch of 12 metrics we value on that for customer value, and then from employee value, NPS, staff turnover, happiness scores, the whole works, that kind of thing. So we do this all the time with all our teams. But I would say we at Surge are very, very, well, I'm an ex-accountant, guys. So I'm going to be very management accountant on this. So if anyone wants that, flick me a LinkedIn message and I'll flick you I can flick you the thesis on the whole customer value, which gives you 23 transformational results, or just the KPIs. I'll happy to send you both, so I can do that. Did we answer his question? I think so. I think so. What questions are there?
We're going to take one more and then we wrap up?
I think we should, because otherwise we could go on. They are starting to drop off though. We're down to 5 now. So thanks for the 5 who are still here. I'm sure the rest will watch it tomorrow, which is quite funny. Thanks, Gareth. Keep the wine flowing. Yes, Edwin. Yes. This is why I can only do probably one more question, because I'll be Half cut by then. From Russia. Oh, we did them all. Amar made a good point, by the way. Posture is a good point. Thankfully, I am always the shortest person in the room. Amar, you don't feel like the shortest person in the room, so that's a compliment, by the way. Is there any questions you want to end on, guys? Raise them now. If not, we will start to go to our reflection.
What about my question, Michael?
You can have a question.
Yeah, how many coaches are needed to change a light bulb?
We totally forgot. How many coaches are needed to change a light bulb? I don't know.
Well, it depends if the light bulb wants to change.
Oh, how did I fall for that? That is terrible. Okay, that's a good way to end it.
I think it's time to end.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jakub. Thanks everybody else. Do you have a reflection on this session, Jakub, that you've had an aha moment or a, that's interesting, or some comments that people have made? How are you feeling?
I just love the conversation about outcomes. And I think that as the title of this, I think that we should remember that we shouldn't be just agile coaches. We should be outcomes coaches. We should be always asking about outcomes, why we are here. Agile is just one way to achieve different things. And so are we there to achieve the outcomes? Are we helping the organization, the people, the leaders achieve the outcomes they want to achieve? Yeah.
I totally agree. And that was a whole segment I wanted to touch on. So Jakub, I hope you're keen to come back because I really want to chat to you more about this. I can see why you're a podcaster. So how can people find you?
Just search for Jakub, which is our podcast, me and Joe Oslander. We talk about Agile, Life, and monkeys. We are on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. Jakub, which is a weird name, which is on purpose, weird name. We are a bit weird. And look for agilecoachinglab.com, where you can learn about the 9 weeks intense, unique program that you can learn more about Agile coaching.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jakub.
Thank you.
So my reflection, I would like to say that focusing on the outcomes is a keen interest of mine, so that it may feel like a bit of a bias, and I have to check that bias as I go through the next couple of days. But what I'm starting to find is another person who has gone through the motions. And if you're going through those motions, we've all been there. We've all had that point where we think we know everything. And then we realize that we know sweet nothing. And it's that moment where you have a chance or a choice, however you put it. Do you want to move forward and learn and be humble and grow from an agile coach to an outcome coach? Or do you want to just settle in and say, it's your fault, it's not mine? These are two choices you think about. Me and Jakub made our choices, and we seem quite happy. Come join us, become an outcome coach. Go on Jakub's course, come see me. Thank you very much for listening to the channel. This is Agility Matters. I'm Mike from Surge. I'll see you next week. See you guys.
Hey guys.